Americans walk past the mansions of Beverly Hills every day, shop on Rodeo Drive, and have absolutely no idea what exists behind those walls. Shabbat dinners conducted entirely in Farsi, ancient Persian melodies echoing through marble hallways. This is the story of Iranian Jews who, fleeing persecution after 1979, built complete parallel societies in America, preserving a heritage older than Christianity itself, thriving in plain sight yet invisible to most Americans. Let us begin. Number 10. Houston, Texas might seem an unlikely sanctuary for Persian Jews fleeing the Islamic Revolution, but the energy capital of America offered something invaluable to educated professionals who had lost everything: opportunity. In the years following 1979, Iranian engineers, doctors, and business owners arrived in Houston with university degrees and empty pockets. The energy sector was booming. Jobs existed for those with technical expertise. The city asked few questions about where you came from and only what you could contribute. They settled in the affluent suburbs west of downtown: Memorial, Sugarland, neighborhoods with good schools and large homes where extended families could gather for Friday night dinners. The Iranian Cultural Foundation of Houston became their anchor, offering Persian language classes for children born on American soil and Nowruz celebrations every spring to mark the Persian New Year. These were professionals rebuilding from nothing. A petroleum engineer who had managed refineries in Iran now started at entry level in an American company. A physician who had run a hospital in Tehran now studied to pass American medical boards. They did not complain. They worked, they saved, they bought homes, and within a generation, their children attended the finest universities in America. Houston gave Persian Jews the chance to rebuild their professional lives. But 1,000 miles east, a different kind of sanctuary was forming, for those who needed not just opportunity, but rescue. Number 9. The story of Persian Jews in Baltimore begins with an unlikely hero. Rabbi Hermann Naphtali Neuberger was not Persian. He was born in Bavaria, Germany, an Ashkenazi Jew who had fled the Nazis and built his life in Maryland. But in 1983, he looked at the desperate refugees fleeing Iran and saw his own story reflected back at him. Working alongside Rabbi Moshe Scherer, Rabbi Neuberger persuaded the United States State Department to allow Iranian Jews to seek asylum as political refugees. He did not stop at paperwork. He personally helped nearly 1,000 Persian Jews immigrate to Baltimore. Teenage girls who arrived alone were taken in by local families. Young men were enrolled in his yeshiva without being asked to pay a single dollar. Rabbi Neuberger considered us his children. Those are the words of Rabbi Reuben Aria, who leads the Or HaMizrach congregation today. He helped us with food. He helped us with immigration. He gave our boys an education when we had nothing to offer in return. Today, in the heart of Baltimore's Jewish community, stands an exquisite synagogue reminiscent of an ancient Persian palace. The 20,000 square foot building rises 3 stories high. This is Or HaMizrach, an Orthodox Sephardic Iranian congregation and vibrant community center founded in 1981. The building is dedicated to the memory of the Bavarian rabbi who became a savior to Persian refugees. Rabbi Neuberger gave Persian Jews a lifeline to America. But the largest rescue operation unfolded not on the East Coast, but in a quiet suburb of New York where an entire community rose from forced conversion. Number 8. Kew Gardens sits in the central area of the New York City borough of Queens. It is a triangular-shaped, middle-class neighborhood, accessible by surrounding expressways and the Kew Gardens Union Turnpike subway station. For decades, it attracted working professionals who wanted garden community living with a quick commute to Manhattan. Around 2,500 Iranian Jews arrived here after the revolution of 1979. They joined immigrants from China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Israel, the former Soviet Union, India, Bangladesh, and Korea, who had settled in Kew Gardens during the 1980s and the 1990s. The neighborhood offered something precious to refugees starting over: anonymity within diversity. Persian Jews could preserve their traditions without standing out. Their neighbors understood what it meant to rebuild a life far from home. everyone on the block had a story of leaving something behind. The Jewish population in the Forest Hills, Rego Park, and Kew Gardens areas has grown by 37% since 2002, making it home to one of the fastest-growing Jewish communities in the entire New York metropolitan region. The real estate mix appealed to practical families, cooperative apartments, condominiums, and single-family homes, all within reach of hardworking immigrants willing to sacrifice for their children's futures. Queens offered accessibility and diversity. But for Persian Jews seeking something more insular, a community that could preserve every ancient tradition without compromise, there was only one destination on the East Coast. Number 7. The Iranian Jewish community living on Long Island, New York, is primarily concentrated in the area known as Great Neck. Roughly 15,000 strong today, this community is by far wealthy, educated, and quite observant of Jewish religious practices. But their story begins with one of the most remarkable chapters of survival in Jewish history. The Mashhadi community originated in Mashhad, Iran, a city holy to Shiite Muslims. Persian Jews had lived relatively peacefully there for a century. Then, in March of 1839, everything changed. The Shiite community suddenly revolted against the Jewish population, storming synagogues, destroying sacred Torah scrolls, and killing dozens of people. A few Jews managed to escape, pleading with the local imam to stop the violence. The imam agreed on one condition: the entire Jewish community must immediately convert to Islam. For 86 years, the Mashhadi Jewish community openly practiced Islam. They attended Friday prayers at the mosque. They adopted Muslim names. They observed Islamic customs in public. But from the very beginning, they made a secret pact. Meat would be bought from the open market only to be given to the dogs, while kosher meat was prepared in the confines of Jewish households and distributed secretly from courtyard to courtyard. Although outwardly the community had Muslim names, they were also given secret Hebrew names. Upon return from Friday prayers, families would gather in hidden rooms to welcome the Sabbath. They opened their shops on Shabbat, but charged ridiculously high prices, so as not to conduct any actual business. Children were engaged to one another at very young ages, so that local Muslims would not ask to marry their daughters. For nearly a century, they kept their faith alive through deception. And when they finally arrived in Great Neck, they brought with them not just traditions, but the living memory of what it cost to preserve them. With all of their success, Iranian Jews in New York have kept a fairly low profile over the past 3 decades. The largest concentration lives not here, but 3,000 miles away in Los Angeles. The Mashhadi Jews preserved their faith through secret practice for nearly a century. But when the 1979 revolution came, Persian Jews across all of Iran faced a new terror, and they fled to sanctuaries across America. Number 6. Miami might seem an obvious choice for refugees seeking warmth and new beginnings, but the specific enclaves where Persian Jews settled tell a more particular story. Surfside and Ball Harbor, 2 small municipalities on the Barrier Islands north of Miami Beach, became home to a remarkably diverse Jewish community. Sephardic traditions from Spain and North Africa, Ashkenazi customs from Eastern Europe, and Persian practices from Iran, all mixed together within a few square blocks of oceanfront high-rises. The luxury condominiums attracted successful Persian business people who had managed to transfer some wealth before fleeing Iran. Beachfront living, year-round sunshine, multiple synagogues serving different traditions within walking distance. For those who could afford it, this was paradise rebuilt. The community became known for something that cannot be measured in real estate prices: warmth. Visitors describe being welcomed like extended family. Strangers invited to Shabbat dinners. Neighbors checking on one another daily. The kind of community that takes generations to build elsewhere seemed to spring up naturally under the Florida sun. The June 2021 Surfside building collapse struck this close-knit community with devastating force. The Champlain Towers South condominium had been home to many Jewish families. The tragedy revealed to the outside world just how interconnected these lives had become. Persian restaurants and businesses now operate alongside Cuban, Israeli, and American Jewish establishments. Three cultures of exile finding common ground on a strip of sand between the Atlantic Ocean and Biscayne Bay. Florida offered sun and sea and synagogues for every tradition. But Persian Jews seeking familiar landscapes, mountains and dry heat and sprawling homes with room for extended families found their Eden further west. Number 5. La Jolla, the jewel of the San Diego coastline, attracted Persian Jewish professionals drawn to its excellent schools, Mediterranean climate, and distance from the chaos of revolution. The region made history when Iraj Bruman served as a prominent leader in local administration, paving the way for Iranian Americans in civic life. His election demonstrated how quickly Persian Jews could integrate into American civic life while maintaining their distinct identity. The stories of individual resilience multiply across San Diego County. Families who lost everything in Iran rebuilt through small businesses. A jeweler who had owned shops in Tehran started over with a single display case. A restaurateur who had employed dozens in Iran now worked alone in a tiny kitchen, slowly building back. The journey from Tehran to America often meant leaving parents behind, siblings scattered across continents, entire lives abandoned with no possibility of return. The Shah's supporters faced particular danger. Staying meant prison or worse. Leaving meant never seeing home again. Real estate in La Jolla's coastal neighborhoods commanded premium prices even then, but Persian families prioritized schools above all else. Education had saved them before. It would save them again. Within one generation, children of refugees were attending Stanford, Berkeley, and UCLA, becoming doctors and lawyers and professors, repaying their parents' sacrifices with achievements beyond anything imagined in those first desperate years. San Diego offered refuge to those who built businesses from nothing. But the Persian Jews who truly transformed American real estate gathered further north, in a valley most Americans only know from television. Number 4. The San Fernando Valley stretches north of the Hollywood Hills. A vast suburban expanse of shopping centers and ranch homes and wide boulevards baking under the California sun. Most Americans know it only as the setting for films and television shows. What they do not see is one of the most widely dispersed Persian Jewish communities in Southern California. The San Fernando Valley is home to a massive Jewish population of over 100,000, with Persian Jews forming a vibrant cornerstone of that community along the Ventura Boulevard corridor. They settled along the 101 corridor, Tarzana, Encino, Sherman Oaks. Neighborhoods that offered something Beverly Hills could not: space. Persian families value proximity across generations. Grandparents want to live near grandchildren. Cousins gather weekly, not annually. Friday night Shabbat dinners might include 30 people around a table. This requires room. The valley's larger lots and ranch-style homes could accommodate extended families under one roof or on the same block. Modest properties from the 1950s and the 1960s gave way to larger constructions as Persian families prospered and expanded. A 3-bedroom ranch became a 6-bedroom home, then a complete rebuild. The architecture changed as the community grew. Persian restaurants and bakeries now dot Ventura Boulevard. The smell of saffron rice and grilled kebab drifts from kitchen vents. Signs in Farsi appear in strip mall windows. Synagogues adapted their services to accommodate mixed Ashkenazi, Sephardic, and Persian congregations, sometimes offering 3 different prayer traditions under a single roof. Children attend both American public schools and Persian cultural programs on weekends. They grow up bilingual, bicultural. American in the classroom and Persian at the dinner table. The valley offered space for sprawling families and Friday night feasts, but the true center of Persian Jewish power, the place that would reshape American politics and culture, lies just over the hills. Number 3. Walking down Westwood Boulevard in Los Angeles feels like stepping through a portal. The signs change. Neon letters in Persian script advertise restaurants and bookstores and travel agencies. Billboards feature faces and words unreadable to most Americans passing through. In 2010, the city of Los Angeles officially designated Westwood Boulevard between Wilshire and Santa Monica as Persian Square. 2 years later, Google Maps officially recognized Tehrangeles as a place name. A community that had existed for 3 decades finally received formal acknowledgement from the institutions of American life. The Kitab Corporation operated the largest publisher of Persian language titles outside Iran from its iconic bookstore on Westwood Boulevard. Novels banned in Tehran sat openly on shelves, poetry collections, political memoirs, children's books in Farsi for American-born generations. The store closed in 2017, but the cultural mission continues through other institutions. What strikes visitors most is the extraordinary rate of business ownership. An estimated 82% of Iranian Jews in Los Angeles are self-employed. They own the restaurants, they own the shops, they own the commercial properties that house both. This is not accident, but culture. In Iran, Jews had been merchants and traders for millennia. They brought those skills to America and deployed them immediately. The coffee houses and tea rooms operate exactly as they did in Tehran. Old men play backgammon. Younger people argue politics. The Persian language fills the air, punctuated occasionally by English when an outsider enters. Westwood gave Persian Jews a public face. But the community's true wealth and political influence was concentrated in one of America's most famous postcodes. Number 2. After the 1979 Iranian Revolution, approximately 30,000 Iranian Jews settled in Beverly Hills and the surrounding area. As of 2007, about 8,000 Iranians lived within the city limits, roughly 20% of the total population. The majority of those Iranians were Jewish. Iranian Jews who lost funds in Iran adapted with remarkable speed. They brought high education levels, business experience, and some overseas funds that had escaped seizure. Within years, they were not just surviving, they were thriving. In 2007, ballots for Beverly Hills city elections began printing in Persian. That same year, Jimmy Delshad, a Persian Jew, became mayor of Beverly Hills. He was the city's first mayor of Iranian descent, and at that time the highest-ranking Persian political office holder in American history. The real estate transformation began in the 1970s, even before the revolution. Persian Jewish families started buying properties in Beverly Hills, attracted by excellent schools, an existing Jewish community, and the city's reputation for safety and wealth. After 1979, the trickle became a flood. Persian architect Hamid Omrani built around 200 mansions in the Beverly Hills area. Critics called them Persian palaces, with grand entrances, marble columns, and ornate details that referenced ancient Persepolis. The aesthetic proved so dominant that in 2004, the Beverly Hills City Council established a committee to examine new house designs. Nessa Synagogue was founded in 1980 for the wave of Persian Jewish immigration. Rabbi David Shofet, son of the chief rabbi of Iran, led the congregation in continuing the traditions his father had preserved in Tehran. The congregation's name, Nessa, means eternal in Hebrew. It captures their mission exactly, to continue where Iran's Jewish community left off. Beverly Hills gave Persian Jews political power and social standing. But the true scale of what they built, the entire hidden civilization, can only be understood when you see the full picture. Number 1. The United States is home to between 60,000 and 80,000 Iranian Jews. Most of them settled in the greater Los Angeles area. More Persian Jews live in Los Angeles today than anywhere else in the world, an estimated 45,000, roughly twice the number remaining in Iran itself. With population estimates reaching 700,000, Southern California now boasts the largest concentration of Iranians anywhere in the world outside Iran. They have homes in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Brentwood, and Encino. Ivy League degrees hang on their walls. They work as doctors, lawyers, producers, and bankers. Los Angeles was ideal because it reminded them of home, the landscape, the mountains rising from the basin, the dry heat, the car culture where everyone drives everywhere. Even the light felt familiar to those who had grown up under Persian skies. On the eve of the Islamic Revolution in 1979, there were 80,000 Jews in Iran. Within months of the revolution, 20,000 had fled. By the time the exodus slowed, some 60,000 Iranian Jews had left their homeland. Of those, 35,000 came to the United States. They built complete infrastructure from nothing. Persian language television stations broadcast news and entertainment. Radio programs play traditional music. Newspapers report on community affairs in Farsi. Schools teach children to read and write in the language of their grandparents. The Center for Iranian Jewish Oral History now works to connect younger generations to the stories. Interviews with elders who remember Tehran before the revolution, recordings of traditions that might otherwise fade, the conscious preservation of memory itself. We love being Persian. We love Iran. We are not Israelis, but we love that Israel exists. This sentiment echoes through the community, an identity that holds multiple loyalties without contradiction. Many of the American-born generation grew up speaking Farsi at home, but English everywhere else. Their childhoods were more Jewish than Persian in some families, more Persian than Jewish in others. The balance shifted from household to household, but the dual identity remained. Today, a complete civilization operates within America's second-largest city. Its own media, its own politics, its own cuisine distinct from both Israeli and Middle Eastern food, its own architecture, visible in the mansions of Beverly Hills, its own religious institutions, preserving traditions from Mashhad and Tehran and Isfahan, its own cultural memory, passed from grandparents to grandchildren at Shabbat tables set with Persian rice and American wine. The next generation speaks Farsi in Beverly Hills living rooms. They attend synagogues their grandparents built. They eat foods their great-grandmothers prepared in Tehran kitchens. They carry forward 2,700 years of continuous history that most Americans walking past their homes will never see.